Hi, this is Anna London with Cybergence, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to find your purpose and passion in life. Some tips to get you started and thinking about ways to move forward. I think I've been lucky, actually, to find my purpose and passion, but I stumbled on it, actually. I think the biggest thing is just exposing yourself and your kids also to many different things. Whether it be piano, right, or basketball, or something in the arts, or something more, like engineering, right? Cybersecurity, STEAM related, right? Because you never know until you're exposed to it. And that's what happened with me, because initially, actually, when I was in high school, I wanted to be an attorney. And then, I didn't have enough for college, right? I had a scholarship, but it wasn't a full scholarship, right? And so when I was leaving high school, my senior year, and by the way, I'd already started taking college classes, so even before I left, I ended up joining the service, right? There was the Montgomery GI Bill, the Army College Fund at the time, and so I joined right out of high school, because I didn't want student loans. I was kind of, forethought and thinking what I can do, right? So with that said, I joined and I scored really well, with my GT score. You take the ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test is what it's called. It's like 4 or 6 hours. I don't recall the time because it was so long ago when I took it, but I scored really high. And initially they were going to give me, MP, military police. And I said, no, I wasn't interested in that, right? And so what else do you have, right? Because again, I scored really high, and so I was able to have a lot more jobs to choose from, right? And so one of them that came up was telecommunications. And so I decided it's like, why not, right? It looked kind of interesting, but I didn't know if I was going to like it, right? And it wasn't until, I went through basic training, I went through AIT, right? And I served in that capacity. So, telecommunications backbones, I even ran fiber optic cable, right? Terminated the fiber and the wires and all kinds of things. It was incredible. And then later on, we merged with the 25 Bravos, the IT specialist, right? So, I got the sysadmin and all that also in addition to, but I love it. And again, how would have I know I love it. And then of course, what I do as well is not only do I do consultation, I write about it, I do podcasts about it, and I'm even, going back to school actually in 2024 for journalism and communications, to further expand upon that aspect as well, to utilize my voice on a broader scale. I did host a show on BronxNet, in 2018. And I loved it, actually. I loved it. And, so I love being around people. I love engaging. I love, interviewing people and finding about the substance, why they did something, how they did something, right? So I'm about the substance. A lot of people are about the surface, of the person. I like to kind of peel back those layers and kind of understand, how they got there, what incentives or what encouragement did they have, right? Who did they look up to, right? Because again, everybody's journey is different, right? And so you never know, that could resonate with somebody else, So anyways, I'm saying this because I just happened upon by accident, my purpose in life. And I love what I do. It happens to be something that I absolutely am passionate about, and I love it. I love technology. I love building things. I have 2 products, that I built, and I'm continuing to work on them, right? So I'm a builder, I'm an innovator, I'm a creator, I also write poetry, I write, all kinds of things, articles and technical white papers and of course, policies and procedures, if we're going to go down that route too. But, we have, it's just incredible. So I think right now I'm looking to marry my left side of my brain, right? The analytical side, the engineering side, the features functionality side, with then the creative side. Because I think that when you do that, you become more whole of a person, right? And it encourages your brain to fire on all 6 or 8 cylinders, if you will, right? And so, with that said, I want to use all of it. And so, I do have a podcast, yes, but I want to reach a larger audience, and I just want to make a difference in this world, and so I feel that that's my purpose. I feel that's my calling, and again, to pay it forward. Nobody is a self-made anything, okay? And so even though I've built I have 2 businesses, actually. I have one that's a nonprofit, and I have a for-profit. The nonprofit's my education side, and then I have a for-profit side, for consulting and managed services, what have you. And then we have 2 products, right? Metaversity XR, which is an ed tech product. Awesome, actually. And I have a patent actually for AI, adaptive learning, right? So it's used for adaptive learning, which is awesome. And, so, that's incredible too, right? And you figure, and then of course I have Piranha, AI, which is smart home, smart office, smart city, IoT, intrusion prevention system, right? That I'm building. So as well, so again, all these things, you figure, okay, she's made it, that should be enough. Well, it's not, right? Because I'm always looking at my next phase and what else can I do, right? And what have you. So, to explore and discover, other things, but also make a huge difference in people's lives. But I know that. So I found my purpose. Yes, I was lucky, like I said, to happenstance, happen onto it by joining the Army. And, I've served my country. I've been all over the place too, that I probably wouldn't have been able to explore. Germany, and it's bordered by 9 countries. I was able to go to, everywhere, honestly. Afghanistan, of course, South Korea, Japan, right? All of that. And Belvoir, Fort Belvoir, Fort Huachuca, right? Fort Gordon, Georgia, right? All that. So, there's a lot of different opportunity there to kind of get out and explore, right? Outside of your city or your town or even your state, right? Or out of a five-star hotel, because that's not really where the knowledge is at. It's around the people and the cultures, right? Surrounding those areas, right? So to me, that's the most value is to get to know the people. It's the humanity of things, okay? So I know that many young people and many older people, kind of may have lost their way. They get on a path of something, just kind of a day-to-day job or whatever they're doing, or they initially go in for school and they major in a certain, major, if you will, something, liberal arts or whatever, and then they decide, okay, now they've graduated, or many times, and then like, okay, that's not what I want to do, right? Or, people switch majors all the time. For me, I already have double masters in electrical engineering and MIS, information systems. But I want to go for journalism and communication. And so, because again, I want to expand on that, and I've already been out there in that regard, but I want to get out in front of people. But I'm not about interviewing just to, I think people exploit certain situations. It's quite obvious, right? When a journalist or a reporter goes up to somebody and, after somebody's come out of, let's just say Hurricane Katrina, says, well, how are you feeling? How do you feel about that? My God, what do you think they feel? Kind of thing. I think that is ridiculous. And I think it's disrespectful, and dehumanizing, right? So I want to ask more poignant questions, more, open-ended type of questions to get to know the person and show empathy and compassion. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing, but also, the education factor, right, too, is educate as well, talk through when you're having discord with someone, right? And, I think there should be, there's a his and a hers, right? There's, but, there's perspective and perception, right? And so there's normally, the truth is somewhere in between, right? Because a lot of it is perspective, okay? So, I love science, I love math, I love engineering, I love building things, I'm a geek, I love it, okay? I get really excited and I love it, and I pass that on to my students. I've taught at the university level, as a professor, a cybersecurity curriculum, right? I've taught digital forensics, incident response. I've taught ethical hacking. I've taught networks, network security and system security and a lot of that, right? Cloud and all that. And then I've also, been government, Department of State. I've done, consulting, right? Cybersecurity consulting with government contracts and the like. So I've had an awesome, actually full life. Now looking back, you don't realize it. But what I'm trying to do is, because I hear a lot of people, whether or not it's their second phase or third phase in life, right? And try to figure out, okay, what do I do next? Or, if they're just, maybe in middle school or high school and trying to figure out what they want to do. My daughter knew she wanted to go into medicine, but wasn't sure. And then it wasn't until she was exposed to a STEM program in Chantilly, Virginia. She went to Centerville Senior High School in Centerville, Virginia. It's an awesome 3-level school. It's amazing, actually. And a very good curriculum. It's in Fairfax County, Virginia, which is one of the top rated counties for education, in the United States. And so she graduated from there, but she got the opportunity to, attend Chantilly education, STEM courses. And one of those courses, one of the teachers had exposed her to, like pharmacy and what have you. So initially, then she's like, Mom. She comes home one day. She goes, Mom, I know what I want to do, in my life. And I said, what, honey? And so she says, I want to become a pharmacist, right? And you could see the glimmer in her eyes, the twinkle, right? It was amazing, right? Because almost she found her passion. Now, as she got into school, of course, she graduated from high school, went into college, and then interned, right? And became a tech, if you will, while she's going to school, a pharmacy tech. She had to take the exam and everything else. She decided, she's like, I don't know. I don't think this is for me, but I do want to do medicine. So then she looking into being a cardiologist, right? And so that's what she's doing. So she applied to med school, and then she's there right now to this day. So she'll be graduating, should be next year. And I look forward to attending her graduation and all that. So she found her way. But again, exposure to different things, right, is incredibly important. My son, on the other hand, initially, he was talking about, he wanted to also, he's looking at being a judge or an attorney, right, that kind of thing. And then, that was when he was like elementary school. And then, all the YouTube, social media stuff came out. And then, of course, the 6th grade, yearbook said, what do you want to be when you grow up? This is a YouTube influencer, right? And I was like, well, yeah, that could be money, but, but let's look at other things too, right? And what have you. So, because that's me being a mom, right? Because again, that's just a personality, you know what I mean? And you got to back that up with, something else, that's my opinion. Anyways, some people are really good at it and all that. But, you have to be extreme with it, right? And so, I don't know. And let's just say the YouTube aspect goes down for whatever reason. You got to find, other platforms also to expose your personality and what have you. So, anyways, with that said, and then he started talking about being a marine biologist and a variety of things. And so, and so he graduated from high school, and he's more now going to the trade school route, right? So he's trying to figure out what he wants to do, telecommunications, whatever. And so he got an opportunity, to do telecommunications. I thought that was awesome, because again, that's how I started out, right? It was telecommunications right outside of high school, and I loved it. So again, he's trying to figure it out. And, it's like, okay, so how do you find your purpose and passion, right? So how do you find it? So I'm trying to identify a few things to kind of maybe help people, no matter where you are in your life, no matter what age you are, right? A lot of people's senses can become dull over time, and kind of you get in the rigmarole of the 9 to 5, if you will. If you're doing 9 to 5 work, it's maybe not something you want, but it's something you have to survive on, right? A lot of people are in the survival mode. And so it's react, not be proactive and do anything, right? To be able to think about your dreams. People have dreams, but people feel like they're a long shot away the other side of the world, right? Because they're just trying to, they have kids, and then all of a sudden, maybe their dream that they had, they end up putting that aside because, of course, other priorities came up. Life happens. So whether or not you're young, okay, thinking about what you want to do or what you want to major in, okay, in school or whatever, or if you're older and this is your, first, second, third, or fourth phase in life, or maybe you're migrating into something new and different, okay, or even building something different, right, which is awesome. So, if you're feeling lost and wondering how to find your purpose and passion in life, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that have experienced that state of confusion when nothing in life seems to make sense. And you may have tried to find out the essence of your existence, and perhaps you found it difficult to ascertain. It's not surprising, though, of course, because believe it or not, a lot of people are in the same situation. And that's why I'm discussing this, because it's more for, again, my son. A lot of times when I do this podcast, it's because of something that's happened, something that's triggered something in a good way or whatever, that I feel that I need to, I feel moved to speak about it, okay? And in speaking about it and talking through different problems or different things, you should come up with the solutions. I'm all about spitballing, ideas and then, talking it through and then helping to dissect it and find a solution, right? Because sometimes the solution is not as apparent as you think it would be. But when you start talking about it with others, whiteboarding it, spitballing it, whatever you want to call it, you can kind of talk it through. And then somebody says, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that or whatever? So sometimes the solution can become more apparent when you do it that way. Anyways, that's what I do. I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but that's what I do, and it seems to work for me. And I do use that in my business too, is we spitball, right? And so we have an open-ended, sessions on ideas, right? Idea boarding and what have you. And, whether it be solve a cybersecurity defense problem or whatever, right? It's, we talk through it. We talk through it until we can find the solution that's right for that specific technology, that specific organization, etc. Right? That also means compliance. All right. Anyways, I've digressed. Define your essence of your existence. Okay. Is simply to discover your purpose in life, right? Sounds easy enough, right? But it's not. You can't just discover your purpose if you don't have a passion for anything, though. So one reason finding the purpose of life is difficult for many people is because most people don't actually know what their passion is. The truth is that we're all made differently. We think differently, right? We all have a different purpose, right? A God's purpose, if you will, some of us discovered our passion and drive earlier in life. And again, mine was happenstance by joining the service, right? While, it takes others several decades to find out what they live for as well, right? So, for example, most of the greatest footballers, right, discovered their talents early in life, okay? They simply loved kicking anything that was spherical in shape, basically, right? Or, round, if you will, if you want to call, soccer, or everywhere else, we call it football. Here in America, it's soccer, right? Why do we have to be different? Right, I'm just saying. But such great footballers, okay, I'm talking about the NFL here, nurtured their talent with passion at a tender age. And as months turned into years, it shaped the purpose in life. On the other hand, there are football players who only discover their passion for football later in life, maybe during their high school days, right? They get on a varsity team or whatever. They're like, okay, awesome. And maybe they're even drafted or they go to college, right, and play. But then, of course, they have an injury. So football is no longer an option. Now what? Right? So, this is also for them too, So now what do I do? Now what do they do in the second phase of life, right? Or the alternative phase in life, because maybe they're pivoting, there's a purpose. It's not what happens to you, it's what happens for you, okay? And the more you can think like that, the better off you'll be in life. Similarly, okay, there are authors who started writing immediately. They could handle a pen, whether they made sense or not, they just wrote, okay? It was their passion to tell stories in written form. Okay, I love writing too. I find it very therapeutic. Meanwhile, of course, other authors developed a passion for writing only after obtaining their master's degree, for instance, right? That was when they found out their life's purpose, right? A lot of that though has to do with, job, money, right? But again, don't chase the money so much as chase your passion, and then and then the money will follow eventually, or maybe not, right? If your purpose is to be a monk, right? Dedicate your life, your service, right? People need to stop judging. Who cares if you have a Bentley or not, honestly? Are you happy? Are you content, right? Or what have you. So again, I have a lot of respect for people in the religious faiths, right? And, or whatever they want to do. So, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, that's what I've told my kids the whole time. I don't care what you do, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, and you love it. You got to love what you do. You got to have that drive and that fire, right? That passion to be able to, that want to get up in the morning and do what you got to, do what you're doing. Like what I do, it doesn't feel like work to me, honestly. I love it. Okay. So now what am I trying to say? Okay. Cause I can feel, you can probably get impatient by all the words, right? Cause I tend to be a bit wordy. And again, that's what I'm going to work on too in journalism and communication school, right? As well. I used to be more direct in the service. It was direct. Okay. And then I got out. And then, of course, I guess it was too direct. And so I had to modify that tone and inflection, and put a lot of niceties around my communication, even in emails, right? In the military, it's just direct. It's like, okay, boom, 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 there's no sugarcoating it. It's like, you don't have to put a please and thank you, and you don't have to surround it with all these niceties and cookie coat it, right? Sugarcoat anything, right? It was just direct and to the point. Well, you kind of can't be that way in the civilian world. So you kind of have to, everybody's emotions come into play, and you have to worry about how somebody might perceive the message, whether or not it's text, whether or not it's something that you put on X or social media, right? And of course, emails, okay? And the way you talk. So, but now the problem is I've gone the other side of the spectrum where now I talk too much because I've put too many of those words around. And I can't seem to be able to remove those words now, right? And become direct and to the point again. But, I need to find some happy medium, okay? I'm working on it. Trust me, I am a work in progress, okay? I'm not perfect by any means, okay? Anybody that says they are just egotistical because nobody's perfect anyways. This is my idiosyncrasy, I guess, but I'm learning. And again, that's why I feel that, look, I'm a lifelong learner. And anytime you want to learn something new, right? What do? Right? Go to school. But you go to school for authoritative sources. Yes, there's a lot on YouTube. There's a lot everywhere else. But there's a lot of bad stuff there too that can send you down a wrong path, right? So I always tell students, if you're going to learn, they'll go to authoritative sources. It's the quality of the content, not the quantity, right? That makes the difference. And the time that you spend in to put in the practice and the dedication, right? And the consistency, okay, to help yourself do better. So look, my aim is to make you or help you understand, okay, that it doesn't really matter when you discover your purpose, okay? It's not about when, but as long as you eventually just discover it, okay? So where it becomes a problem is when you fail to ascertain the ultimate reason why you exist, right? So it becomes a huge problem if you live on and on and on without any passion, drive, goal, or purpose. And I think this is what's happened with our youth, right? They're looking for something, okay? They're looking for purpose. And so they'll join the next protest. They'll join the next whatever is trending, okay? Even though if they don't even understand the underlying of it, they just want to be a part of something, okay? And I think that is the huge problem. And it's adults doing that too. It's not just kids. This is in line with what Benjamin Mays postulated. And I'm going to paraphrase. The tragedy of life is not what you fail to achieve your goals. Okay? The tragedy of life is not when you fail to achieve your goals, but when you have no goal to achieve. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The tragedy of life is not when you fail to achieve your goals, but when you have no goal to achieve. Okay? So, are you in a dilemma about what you want to do in life? Are you confused about where your passion lies? Are you afraid you're probably running out of time to start living a purposeful life? Then you really shouldn't worry too much. Thinking about it a lot, of course, and hyper-analyzing it, and be a perfectionist will only cause anxiety, and that's not what you want for yourself, right? Just start, okay? And you're going to suck the first time. Yes, you will. Okay? When you start throwing baskets, right, you're going to miss a lot before you finally land them, right? But the more practice you get, the better you get, right? So just take action. Just take action, okay? The first action you should take is to read on, read on, move on, right? Read from authoritative sources, get a book, right? Listen to podcasts, look, if you want to become a doctor, for instance, you're not going to listen to somebody that's never been a doctor. They're not going to be able to drive you the right path. I'm a techie, okay? And So when my daughter was asking about the medical stuff and she was asking me for guidance, I said, you know what? I'm actually not the person to guide you there. So let's look for somebody that can mentor and guide you right into your career path. Somebody that's been in where you're at and can help you, guide you along that way. Right? So again, go to authoritative sources, but also go to people that have been there and lived it. Okay? That's important. Okay? Because there's a lot of people, we call them barracks lawyers in the service. And a lot of people think they know everything about everything. Like, listen to everybody talking about politics like they know everything. I mean, come on. A lot of people haven't even traveled outside of their own freaking city. Give me a break. Right? So, so just take action. Okay? Take action. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some tips on how to find your purpose and passion. All right? So first, examine your life. Okay, you're like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. Okay, but let's dissect what that means though. A great philosopher once said that an unexamined life is not worth living. And I totally agree. For you to know how to find your purpose and passion in life, you must examine your life. So as you evaluate your life, you need to consider what you do at a given time and what you derive joy from doing, right? Joy is the key word here, okay? Considering that these things will give you a head start, then you will know the things you can easily do, which seem to be a part of you. Basically your strengths, okay? And then you can differentiate them from the tasks you find difficult, or not well. Those are your weaknesses, right? I mentioned about, for me, communication. I communicate, yes, but sometimes I'm too wordy, honestly. It helps me when I'm writing, though. Because I have no problems putting thoughts on paper. I'm all the time journaling. I'm all the time even on my phone in the notes. I'm always doing poetry and all kinds of things. And I've even, committed to a novel. So over the period of years, I've been, jotting things down, book ideas and of course, pieces and parts of the book and what have you. I just now need to take action now to get it published, right? So again, it's not about talking about it, it's about doing it, right? So again, but I know what my weaknesses are. I do. I'm a techie. I can sit there and talk feature functionality all day, every day. But when you're like selling somebody, nobody really cares about how it's done. They just care about, how it addresses their pain points, how it affects their bottom line, how it can save them money or whatever, right? Those types of things, right? So, how you're solving their problem, okay? Whatever. They don't care, like, they just care that it's something to solve the problem. They don't care how it does necessarily, right, is my point. They don't care about the interworkings of it. I heard that from investors too all the time. It's like, well, we don't really care how it works, which is kind of insulting, right? Because especially when you're an engineer and that's your baby and you built it, shoot, I care how it works, but you can't think like that, right? So again, I had to turn in a weakness into a strength. My strength, I can build things. I develop things. I build things. Okay, but a weakness is be able to communicate that in a way that reaches a set of people that really don't care about the technology of things, even though they're tech investors. They don't really care. They just care about how they're going to make money off of it, right? So it's about money for them. So you got to speak in businesses, in money, in terms of money, the bottom line. How you're going to 10x their revenue, right? Their return on investment. Look, you're more likely to derive joy from doing things that are part of you, which you find easy, than doing things you find difficult, right? But again, be comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? So you need to take action, right? We mentioned take action. So after you have evaluated your life and found out the things you love doing and have differentiated things from the things that you really don't derive joy from doing, again, write a list. The next thing is to act. Okay, and you don't have to do this all in one day, right? You can over time, but don't take too long, right? Because, tomorrow's not promised, right? So you don't want to live what could I have done? I mean, yeah, you're going to suck at things. Shoot, I've done things and failed. Absolutely. Okay. 100%. We learn from failure. Okay. But then you can also learn things and, okay, maybe that's not for me. I thought it was, right? So sometimes it's trial and error, right? Also going for them is a way, of course, of embracing your passion and purpose of life. So just do it, right? Take action. Keep exploring new ideas too, because the truth is that there are situations where you might find it difficult to discover what you love doing or what you're passionate about. And initially, like I said, you're going to have imposter syndrome because it's like, especially if it's not something you've done before, but you want to do it. You think but you try it and you're like, you suck at it. Don't give up. Keep doing it and see, because you'll get better at it. When you try to examine your life and you seem unable to come up with an idea, then you should keep exploring different ideas. So instead of thinking and thinking and thinking, just try out an idea. If it fails, try another one. Keep trying until you find what you're comfortable with, right? Trying out new ideas might sound difficult, but it is definitely better than thinking yourself into depression or doing nothing. Some people didn't have to try out 2 things before they found their passion and purpose. Okay, they simply discovered it on their first try. But everyone's different, so do what works for you, okay? The next tip is to set goals that are likely in line with your purpose and passion. So if you know how to find your purpose and passion in life, then you must set some goals in which you intend to achieve them. Okay, that's incredible. I'm very goal-oriented, okay? Because you hold yourself accountable and then have accountable, people with you, like around you, right? So you can meet weekly or monthly or whatever so that, can hold each other accountable. It really does help, I'm not going to lie. You don't just set goals randomly, okay? You need to try and set goals that you think will be in alignment with your purpose and passion in life or similar. Now, you may not even know how to get there, okay? This is my end game, but I don't know how to get there. So that's why you need to seek out a mentor, okay, or a guide to basically guide you in the right path to get there, okay? That's incredibly important. And again, somebody that's a subject matter expert in that area in which you're pursuing. Okay, that's incredibly important. Don't just listen to your friend that does something else. They're not going to know anything. Give me a break. Just like me, I'm cybersecurity and tech, but I'm definitely not in medicine. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to help anybody. I just say, okay, let's do some research and identify some authoritative sources, okay? And let's align you with them and see if they'll take you on, mentorship or what have you, right? I know what I can do and what I can't do, and I know what my subject matter expertise is, and I know what it's not. And I'm not going to fictitiously say something, right, or misrepresent myself in any other way, and nobody should do that, right? And even, like I said, people have the best intentions, sometimes. But the worst things can happen with the best of intentions, and they can guide you down the wrong path, and then you'll never get to where your end goal, right? And love the journey. So set goals that align with your passion and purpose, and that'll help you focus on achieving realistic goals. Okay, realistic goals, that's the key. Look, the next tip is meditate and adopt a life philosophy. Adopting a philosophy of life is just like picturing everything about your life and how you want it to be. It's like determining in clear terms the actual thing you live for and what a perfect life for you should look like. Okay, so vision board, and also the mental visioning and speaking it. Honestly, if you can speak it into existence. I know that sounds really strange. It sounds hyperbole. It sounds cliche. It's not. It works. Trust me. In adopting that philosophy of life, you should ask yourself questions like, what is life all about? What should be my ultimate goal in life? What is the most important thing in life? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? That's another thing to ask yourself, In answering these questions, and after meditation, right, you might decide that your ultimate goal in life is just happiness. Maybe you just want to travel, and that's fine too. Maybe you want to be a mom, right? A parent, that's fine too. Okay, we all have different dreams. So another decision you might reach is that the most important thing in your life is money, okay? Or you may come up with a philosophy that life is all about sharing love, right? Or having kids and family, right? Someone else might actually see a perfect world to be a world where he or she pursues a good career, starts a company or gets a well-paid job for a living, right? There's no right or wrong, right? It's just what you want to do, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, right? That's what I say. Adopting a philosophy of life will give you a sense of direction to do only what really matters in your life. And then the next tip is to undergo a test on life, purpose, or passion. Okay, so, introduced by Chris and Janet Atwood, I have to give credit to them, right? A passion test was meant to help individuals discover the main purpose of their lives. So in a passion test, the statement is, when my life is ideal, I am blank, okay? It's going to be repeated 15 times, and you're meant to simply complete each of them with the things you're passionate about, okay? It's an excellent test. It's actually really good, really effective, okay? The aim of this exercise, according to them, is to identify your first 5 passions. And to decide this, you will have to compare the first 2 responses and select the one you deem more important. Then compare it with number 3. And then again, the one that emerges more important is compared to number 4. And then you will continue like this until you assess all 15 passions and come up with the top 1. Repeat the process on the remaining 14 until you come up with your second choice passion, and then keep repeating until you come up with your top 5 passions. Pretty cool, yeah? So, again, Chris and Janet Atwood, okay, are their names. It's actually a super cool exercise. The next tip is bring your motivation intrinsically. So although you can be motivated by things around you, you have to lay more emphasis on being motivated intrinsically. So what does that mean? This is because sometimes the things around you that you look forward to motivate you can actually end up demotivating you. Yes, I said it, demotivating you. But when your motivation is internally built, it's most regenerative and hardly dies. Okay, that's important. In order to be motivated intrinsically, you have to search for that personal reason you need to succeed. Your why. Your why, okay? It might be because you want to make your parents proud, or because you want to change the financial story of your family, or when your business, why? Why did you create? Why, like even losing weight, why? They always ask you why, right? That's incredibly important. Because when your motivation is intrinsic, you will find the need within you to discover your purpose and passion in life. And you will also chase them dedicatedly without giving up. Okay, that's incredibly important, okay? Don't give up and be consistent, right? Now, the next tip is sometimes consider people's opinions. Notice I said sometimes, okay? Opinions are not fact though, right? They're like you-know-whats because everyone has them, right? So in some cases, you might be so talented that you find it confusing which one of your talents you should focus on. In that situation, it might take a close friend to tell you what he or she thinks are best at. And this is because such a friend might have taken time to observe you, discover where your strength lies, but they can be biased too, right? Because they're your friend and they may not tell you the right, or they might tell you a more biased opinion about yourself that may be actually incorrect, right? I intentionally use the term in some cases because you have to be careful with the opinions you get from people, okay? If you must take someone's opinion, first relate it to yourself and then compare it with your own opinion. If it aligns, then use it. And if not, then you may have to reconsider, okay? And try to get objective viewpoints though, surveys, whatever it is, right? The next tip is pay closer attention to what your mind says. Your mind matters. Absolutely. Okay. There is this consciousness in every one of us that comes in the form of a calm voice inside our minds. You may hear the voice, but only if you are calm enough. And many times this inner voice tells us exactly what we need to do in order to excel. And it's peculiar to you, alone, to us alone. It's an individual thing, right? But in order to be able to obey that voice, we need some level of self-belief. Because when you doubt yourself, you can't believe or follow the voice. And many people who doubted their inner voice and opted to ignore it often regretted doing so. I did. I've done that. I'm guilty of that. Now I listen to it and I move forward, right? I move forward. As a matter of fact, that voice could be a clear map on how to find your purpose and passion in life. It could lead you to another journey, etc. Another aspect of it. So follow your voice, pray on it, whatever, meditate on it, what have you. Solitude's a really good aspect too, to kind of think on it, because if you have too many outside influences, it become noisy, right? And it can, it's like fog, and you can't see the forest through the trees, if you will, with too many opinions. It can definitely confuse your path, right? The next tip is dedicate some time to yourself. So this is a very necessary step to take if you must discover your life purpose. We all need time for different things: time to work, pray, eat, time for charity, and above all, time for ourselves. And it's not being selfish. Okay. As a mom too, I had a hard time doing that, because it's like, okay, wow. Is it selfish, right? Because I, put my kids first and everything else. I put the army first, of course, but my kids, it's everything is first. I did everything for my kids, right? That was my priority, right? So the time you give yourself though might actually be to rest, sleep, hang out with friends, marry, party, be with your family, all that. But above all, don't forget the time to relax and meditate, because this is a very important time for self-discovery. Okay. The next tip is to consider the unusual formula. Formula. The unusual formula on how to find your purpose and passion in life is that there is no limitation to your passion, which is awesome, right? You're probably thinking, okay, what the heck does that mean? Okay, I get it. Well, simply put, it means that sometimes there is nothing like one passion and one purpose of life, but there are many passions which become the purpose of life. It could be, the type that is multi-talented. You might see yourself engaging in lots of activities or not. Some people are introverted, right? So they're very leery about trusting people and others and situations and environments. So in this situation, the unusual formula will have it that if you are passionate about all those talents, then you can jointly give your life its purpose. You want to endeavor, though, to live your life to the fullest, okay? Explore all of your options, okay? Because the true purpose of life is to embrace your passions, not reducing them to just one either. You can have multiple things. Someone whose talents are their passions can actually be a jack of all trades and a master of all, too, okay? Notice how I said jack of all trades and a master of all instead of master of none? Because you actually can do that. The next tip is to surround yourself with people who have a positive perception of life. Yes, positivity, because it matters. Positivity is infectious. The same is applicable to negativity. Those that we keep around us will never fail to be an influence on us, our lives, our passions, and our purpose. So the perception and worldview of people around us will always affect ours. Therefore, if we must get people close, let them be those who are optimistic and goal-oriented, okay? They won't only help us to achieve our purpose in life, but they will also influence our purpose and passion positively, right? You want people with real, I don't surround myself with yes people. That's not my point. But it's important to surround yourself with positivity, right? It is. I'm not going to lie, because it does help. Look, in conclusion, okay, here's something I'm going to say that you should hold tight that will make all the aforementioned tips, okay, quite easy and doable. When you merge your passion with action, then you'll get to your purpose in life. In other words, without action, passion is meaningless, and without passion, there is no purpose, right? So again, I hope this was helpful, okay? I hope this was helpful. A lot of people are struggling to find their purpose, or like your next phase, maybe you're middle-aged, maybe you're older, maybe you've retired to say, okay, what do I do now, right? And kind of thing. So again, but whatever you do, a hobby or whatever, whether it's for money or not, it's passion. It's expose yourself to it. Get out of the house and do things, get around things, become adventurous, travel if you need to, I don't know, go to a knitting class, go to basket weaving, go to skiing, go to whatever it is, right? That floats your boat. Go to coding classes if you want to learn how to code, whatever you want to do, okay? And you might suck at it. In fact, you are going to suck at it the first and second and third time, probably, absolutely, because you're new at it, okay? When kids learn how to walk, right, it's crawl, walk, run, right? So they crawl, right? Well, they don't crawl at first, but, they start practicing the crawl, and then they start walking, and then, of course, they fall a lot, right? They're clumsy, right? They're getting their equilibrium, they're getting used to it, right? But the more they do it, the better they get, okay? Right? So, and then running, right? And then eventually they run everywhere, right? Little kids are so cute. Awesome, right? So anyways, with that said, don't beat yourself up just because you haven't found your purpose or passion in life. I've given you a few tips to kind of help you navigate through that and maybe just discover yourself and what floats your boat, right? And just be careful you don't end up in, because people are, young people are very impressionable, right? And heavily influenced by social media and others. So when you are looking for your passion, get out of social media 100%. Don't look at other people, right, and stuff, because a lot of that's lies, honestly. A lot of that's lies. I mean, I'm authentic on mine. I show my picture. That's my real name. But like if you look at X and stuff, right, it's some other handle. It's not even their real name mostly, and it's some other picture, right? So, you don't even know if that person's that person. It's just a fictitious personality right behind it. So don't judge yourself against what other people are doing or what they're not doing, okay? You go out and explore yourself, okay? And figure out what's right for you. Only you can do that, you know. Don't listen to what somebody else is telling you to do. Take that as maybe a recommendation, yes, but not a direct order, okay? Go out and find what you need to do. Experience life. That's why some people too in their 20s, you know, that's the time to mess up, right? Because going out, you're exploring yourself, you're doing a lot of things, and you're going to make mistakes. You're like, okay, I messed up, right? But look, even if in your 30s, if you mess up or whatever, or you find yourself divorced, right? Like a lot of us, you know, go out, you know, get a degree, you get married, you do all those things. And then stuff still happens, right? You get a divorce and stuff. Now you have kids, you know, kind of thing. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? Because I have different priorities now. I can't just worry about myself only, right? That's, you know, I have other people I need to worry about, little ones, right, that I need to care for, right, and what have you. So you wouldn't be able to take the same risks you would, you know, if you were by yourself. So, you know, young people, go out and explore everything you possibly explore. Again, ethically, morally, and legally, okay? And try to figure out what is your purpose and passion, not somebody else's. What's yours, okay? Because, again, I love what I do every day. I love what I do, and I'm so glad that I was exposed to technology, right? Cyber, right? And all that's, I love it. And I love writing too. That's the thing. You don't have to just love one thing. I love speaking to people. I love interviewing people, right? On X Spaces, I really don't host any spaces because, you know, honestly, you know, there's a lot of trolls that come on there. But in different spaces, I've spoken in a few spaces. But most of the time, I just listen. Because, you know, many times in these spaces, they don't even give you a chance to even spew out, if you will, what your thought is before somebody abruptly interrupts you, right? So you're not even allowed to even, many times, really speak, you know, it's very abbreviated. And so it's not really a quality type of conversation or discord or discourse in spaces, to be quite honest with you. People are, I think that, you know, many times they mean well, you know, sometimes other times it's just outright rude, but people don't even listen either. You know, people need to listen. We need to listen to each other. I mean, really listen, not just hear, but listen. And so that's what I do. I listen, I hop in different spaces and then I listen to different perspectives, but I go out and research, you know, and I derive my own opinion based upon fact, right? I just don't take just because someone says something to be the outright, that's it. And I even told my kids, even though I'm their mother, go out, trust but verify. Trust but verify. Look at multiple sources because there's lots of propaganda out there. There's lots of misleading facts all over the place. So you need to go to authoritative sources, okay? And research it yourself and come up with a conclusion, not because that is what the popular thing is, it's trending. No, you need to be individual and you need to think for yourself, okay? And all that. Have independence of thought and come up with a conclusion based upon research and analyses of your own doing, okay? Separate of all the noise out there, right? So anyways, with that said, I hope this was helpful, you know, and go out and find your purpose and passion in life. Go out. I hope you do. I hope you find it. And for those of you that have, congratulations, right? Let's talk through this. You know, I'd love to interview you at some point, right? So, you know, tell me what you've done, right, in order to find your, you know, passion and purpose. You know, look, when I'm teaching cybersecurity, I always have other people that come from, you know, Google, from IBM, from all over the place, commercial and government entities alike, and talk to my students on how they got into cybersecurity because everyone's journey is different. Same thing with finding your purpose and passion in life. Everybody's journey is different, okay? So you may look up to somebody, okay? But again, don't idolize them. Again, you are you. That's your superpower. Nobody is you. Nobody is your DNA. That's your DNA. That's your mind. That's your body. That's your spirit. You know, you go do you, okay? Find what makes you happy. Find what's your passion. Whether or not it makes you money or not, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral. I'll leave it at that. Again, this is Anna London with Cyvergence, signing out.